All right, Sarah, should we get started?
Let's kick it off.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. We're happy to have you here as we talk about loyalty programs for your financial institution. Really quick, before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. First of all, this event is being live captioned by 3Play Media. If you want to access the captions, just click the little closed caption icon in the Zoom dashboard at the bottom of your screen. And then secondly, we also will be leaving time at the end for question and answer. So drop a question in throughout the conversation today, and we will leave time for those at the end. All right, thanks again for joining us. My name is Bridget Lang. I am the Vice President of Marketing at RAZR. RAZR is a marketing technology company headquartered in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we leverage three primary things: behavioral science, our own configurable technology platform, and our strategy and creative teams to build comprehensive enterprise loyalty solutions for financial institutions, banks, and credit unions. And today we're going to be talking about moving your financial institution from a traditional credit card rewards program to a more comprehensive enterprise loyalty program. And talking about this today is Sarah Cole, the guru of all gurus in this area. And Sarah is a passionate business professional with over 20 years of experience in this space. She has brought a successful consultative approach to mid-size and Fortune 500 companies, enabling them to successfully engage their audiences to drive revenue. Throughout her career, Sarah has been instrumental in growing partnerships with Charles Schwab, US Bank, BECU, SECU, Wells Fargo, and others. And she's also had the privilege of speaking at national industry events and private corporate events. I love talking to Sarah about this topic. She gets me fired up. So Sarah, I will hand it over to you, and I will be back at the end for question and answer.
Sounds terrific. Thank you, Bridget. Always great to have a hype woman introduce you into the webinar. Thank you so many of you for joining us. We have quite the audience this morning. Several of you have met me in the past. Some of you are new. So I just welcome you in. Today we are speaking about credit card rewards and really what's happening in the financial space when it comes to loyalty and the movement from credit card rewards into true comprehensive loyalty programs. And so, there's a couple of questions that we want to ask ourselves is, are we ready? And are we at the size where we should be considering using a different type of loyalty program? And so there's a couple of factors that go into play. Typically, when I step in with a financial institution, three things they're at the point of three things happening. One, they're typically at about $1 billion in assets under management. They have more than 100,000 members and customers. And last but not least, they have more than 10,000 cards. So that's typically the spot where I start to engage within a financial institution to start looking at loyalty on a broader level outside of just credit card rewards. So as we go through this, there's a couple of things that are opportunities when you're thinking about moving to that next level along the way. So first and foremost is really looking at, why would you switch a credit card rewards program away from a processor program? Because there is absolutely a time and a place for processor programs. One of the key reasons why institutions at this level are looking to bring it in-house or go with a third-party independent provider is because processors change. And if you're going to be building a full loyalty program, it's important to have a program that can transition with you. So if you leave one processor and you move to the next, you want to be able to bring that loyalty program with you. Next is around just understanding the capabilities. Again, loyalty programs with processors absolutely serve a need and a purpose. But when you get to the size of having more than 10,000 cards on your portfolio, you really are looking at a deeper set of capabilities around earn side. So promotions and things on that level you can do. You're also looking at potentially driving into multiple products or even looking at tier levels within your audience base. Another opportunity when you're looking at this is around the member experience. We know members and customers are the core of everything that we do, and they should be kept front and center. So once you reach, again, that point in your organization where you're looking at a deeper loyalty program, you want to make sure you're partnering with somebody that is deep in engagement, deep in behavioral science, understands how we keep that member or that customer front and center, and then the technology that can drive to that. And there's obviously a lot of enhancements that you can do within a loyalty program and expand beyond the simple traditional 1 point for $1 spend. And so you need a really deep rules-based platform that can drive to enterprise loyalty. And last but not least, reporting capabilities. This is one of the key areas I know that many of the FIs that I speak to struggle with. Is just making sure they have the depth of knowledge coming in off of their portfolios. And so going to somebody whose core really is loyalty or an engagement is going to be really an impactful decision to help you understand those deeper insights around loyalty and what you're driving towards. So how do we do it? How do we move away from just a traditional credit card rewards program? It does require a different way of thinking. It will require more people across your organization to be involved in decision-making processes and then management of these programs. And it will require an advanced technology platform. So let's look at some of the areas that you can start to think about. So when I say moving beyond just a simple credit card rewards program, there's a few different buckets that we can take a look at. So bucket number one is individual products. This is the ones that we're all familiar with, giving points for credit card, potentially debit card if you're doing that. Otherwise, there's other products. You think about mortgages, auto loans, HELOCs, things of that nature are all points of interaction with your audience base that you can use as incentives to drive points or certain types of behavior. But we got to think beyond that as well. So the next thing is about product groupings. This is really important because we all know as an industry, we've gotten to the spot where every product is so commoditized that our members or our customers typically have anywhere from 7 to 10 different banking relationships. They might have 3 credit cards in their portfolio. They might have their mortgage over here, their auto loan over here. They might have their main primary checking account here. They might have additional checking accounts elsewhere. So product penetration has absolutely dropped. And so the pendulum, though, is swinging back now where we're creating a true financial partnership with our members and with our customers. And so moving beyond loyalty from a single product perspective, which is still commoditized, we want to start moving into product groupings. So looking at our members differently based on where they're coming from and how they're engaging with us. So this could be multiple products. It could be a tier structure. It could be rewarding because they have a certain spend within the financial institution. It could also be because of the longevity that they have with you. Next is about self-serve. Now, the reality is everything listed in self-serve either produces better operational efficiencies for the FI or it increases stickiness. So if you have a group of your audience that aren't doing mobile deposits today and they're going into those branches, we want to incentivize them to move to mobile. And that might be a period of time, a campaign that is run to do that. But those are areas where you can give awards to for that changing of behavior. Also things like moving to e-statements or, of course, doing bill pay, right? Creating that stickiness. So that's another vertical that we can think about when it comes to loyalty. Then we have good behavior, and good behavior actually means a couple of different things, right? When I talked about that pendulum swinging back, it's swinging back because people now are wanting to actually have a true financial partnership in their life, especially that younger generation coming in. They want to bank with a purpose. They don't want to be known as just a product or a number, right? They want to be known, they want to be valued, and they want to be taught. And so the next generation coming up really is deep into teach me, do financial literacy. How should I have responsible lending and responsible spending, right? And so you could have an audience base that maybe is struggling, and we can look to do things where if you're making payments on time, if we're maintaining certain balances in your accounts, we're doing financial literacy, we're increasing your credit score, right? We're making them better people for themselves financially. But the side effect of that is now they actually will be qualified for things like mortgages and auto loans. So good behavior is another great way to think about loyalty and deepening your relationship with your audience. And then last but not least are true just relationship drivers. So things around it's their birthday or it's an anniversary of how long they've been with you. Congratulations, you've been with us 10 years now. We'd love to put an extra 1,000 points into your point bank, into your loyalty program. So things of that nature, referring a friend. Maybe it's the 50th anniversary of the financial institution, and we want everybody to experience some joy around what we're feeling at the financial institution. So again, just broadening the way that you can think about loyalty. And then to do that, though, you need to have data scored across multiple activities. And so that, again, requires more of an advanced platform than what the processor program today can offer you. Now, from an outcome perspective, this also changes the way that you think about things. So, legacy rewards programs are you get a point for every dollar of spend on a credit card. Maybe if they're still doing debit today, it's a point for every $4 or $5 or $6 of spend on a credit card or on the debit card. But we can think much broader than that now. So there's ways that you can still issue points and have the catalog. There's absolutely a place and a reason for that. But there's other things that you can think of too, where, the activities that they're doing across these activities, or the rewards that they're getting across multiple activities end up being cash back into an account. Or we're looking at things like fee waivers. If they are in our premium checking product, and they do 10 transactions a month and they maintain a balance of $200 into that account, we're going to go ahead and waive their fee. So you can think about things on that nature. It could be something where they have a savings account, but if they have multiple products or they're doing XYZ behavior, the interest on that savings account actually goes up. So they're earning a little bit more money for just having a deeper relationship with your FI. The backside of it too is, different rules and analyzing the data can trigger different outcomes around communications. Maybe because they did these 3 things, they're now eligible for that reduced auto loan or for that HELOC. So you can trigger communications out through a loyalty program on that nature. So what do you need to actually put all of this together? So when you're evaluating internal resources, external resources, these are the key components that you will need to have in place to actually operate and run some type of an enterprise loyalty program. So the first is around the member experience. I think we all know this just from a pure fraud perspective, but everything that your members will access or your customers will access to engage with this loyalty program needs to be done through single sign-on. So we need to make sure that those integrations and those opportunities are available with the source that you're moving forward with. The next thing is it absolutely needs to be customizable based on your needs. Not every program is going to look the same, nor should they. You all have different audiences, you all have different initiatives, and you have all different drivers that will produce a higher ROI for different areas of your program. So you're not going to all even reward on the same type of things. So it definitely has to be customizable. Furthermore, you can leverage a loyalty core to actually gain some additional knowledge about those very people that you're serving. So you want to make sure it has interactive capabilities within it, registration, surveys, polls, things of that nature. Communications are big. We often tout here is 10x communication. By the time you are sick and tired of talking about it, that's the first time your audience is really actually understanding and seeing it. So you need a very integrated platform within any communication tool that you have, whether you're using a third party, whether you're having somebody plug into, say, a Salesforce marketing cloud, but you need to have a core communication strategy around the program and around sending out information to those members that are in that program. And then, of course, all of the right integrations are going to be necessary so that you can actually bring in the data, action against it, and then produce the necessary outcomes. Now, from a reward side of everything, of course, people have all these points. They want to be able to use them, right? That's the whole point. Activation and using these points will drive product penetration and will drive top of wallet spend, which are the 2 beautiful words that everybody in a financial institution wants to increase. So you need to make sure you have a very flexible reward solution. So that could be catalog, that could be a way to do points and cash back. It could be a way where they can use their points and actually bring it back into bank issued areas where they can actually be able to see bank products and be able to reduce like maybe the interest rate on a mortgage, things of that nature. The rules engine. You start talking about all these areas and it seems very fun and exciting. And then all of a sudden you're going to have your tech team sit back and go, how the heck are we going to make all of this work, right? So you need to make sure you're partnered up with a very strong rules engine where you can put all of the data into it, apply a set of rules to it. So we all know the general spend rule for a credit card rewards program, right? You spend $1, you get a point. But it becomes more complex when you're doing things around, they need to have X, Y, and Z. They need to have at least 10 transactions and maintain, $500 of spend on a monthly basis and have 2 products. And then we're going to waive all fees and all ATM fees for this account. Those get to be very complex rules. So you need a solid platform that can do those rules for you. In addition, you need to be able to manage it. So whatever resources that you're evaluating, make sure it has a really solid admin site so you can see what's going on. You can go in there and pull levers and pull triggers and see all of the things and the outcome that it would be if you wanted to apply this rule or try this rule. Data management. I know this is probably a headache for everybody that's in the room is trying to figure out how to manage the data. Because again, when we think products, so many products are so siloed that the data doesn't talk to each other. Now, I know there's some platforms out there like a Kafka or others like that are now bringing those streams of data together. But whatever resource you use, we have to be able to pull that data together. So that's part of the research process as you go down this path of how am I going to allow my data to talk to each other so that we can get to the point where we're actually doing householding, meaning that you're not building a loyalty program based off of a credit card number. That does not allow you to do expansion. And those are typically what the processor programs are set up for. So, when you're looking at your program, you need to have a higher unique identifier for each member or customer that then all of the products can be linked to that will really allow for that true householding of the points and the activity that a member is doing across multiple data streams. And then last but not least is the administration of everything, right? You have to build it and you're going to launch it, but then you have to manage it. So making sure you have the right tools, the right reporting, the right backend support system that can help you figure out, strategize, and manage around these programs. So again, if you're going into any RFPs in the next, 12 to 24 months, these are areas to take into consideration that you want to write your RFPs around to make sure that you're thoroughly investigating the right partners for you based on these key criteria that are necessary to enable any type of an enterprise loyalty system. All right, so where you start with all of this, what's the plan? Well, strategy is absolutely key to everything. If you're going to do a program, you're going to have to, 1, write a business case, and 2, make sure it's producing a positive ROI in order to justify the line item in the budget to get any of these programs approved and renewed from a year-to-year basis. So when you start with strategy, here's a couple of points that you can start to think about how you think about strategy. Because there's going to be some pretty hefty evaluation work of, what truly are the opportunities? What problems are we trying to solve? Are we trying to create more operational efficiencies? Are we trying to create more stickiness? Are we trying to drive deeper product penetration? Do we just want more spend on the products that they're already using and having today? Because those all create different outcomes of how you think about it and how you want to start. And that will obviously boil up to your business case. We definitely need a phased plan around how to roll this out, because again, you don't want to boil the ocean saying, I love all of those things in those, multiple categories that we looked at. And we want to start with everything is not going to work. You have to do a slow crawl, walk, run. And I'll give you a couple of examples of how to start thinking about that from a crawl, walk, run perspective. But you really need to define what the opportunity is, what the cross-sell opportunity is. And then just as important is, where does all the data live? What are the gaps in order to be able to bring this to market, and getting executive alignment across your entire suite? Because a program of this nature isn't just siloed in one product, right? You need teams across the board, from technology to marketing to operations. And then of course, the C-suite all has to be aligned of what are we driving to and what do we want to create for the future of our financial institution. Now, this is just a kind of a sneak peek in some of the things that you'll want to be doing. But again, like I mentioned, all of those opportunities from individual products down to thinking about tier structure, thinking about different activities. And so what I would start with in your organization as you go through this process of doing evaluations is what is the value, the financial value of these different products or these different services to your organization. So when somebody goes into the branch to do a deposit in the branch, what is the true cost to you to have them do that? Because that will help you start to identify one of the groups of people and the amount of the award that you might want to give to that said group of people to start changing their behavior to getting them to move into mobile deposits. If you look at things like individual products, what is the value of a new HELOC or an auto loan or a mortgage to your organization? And what's the value will determine how much you should give in an award to encourage that behavior to get that cross-sell opportunity, because it all has to be financially calculated. So going through what the industry is doing today, there are programs that are out there running today that have a lot of details around how they financially chosen to do it. You definitely can go and do your research around that and replicate that. But there are these things that exist out there that will help you start to figure out the financial model of how you put this together. So once you have the financial model, what's going to move the needle for you the quickest. Then you need to start laying out your roadmap. How am I going to roll this thing out? So we always talk about this crawl, walk, run approach. So crawl. We want to make sure that if you're creating a loyalty core in the future situation for an enterprise loyalty program, you start with what anybody knows traditionally today, which is the credit card rewards program, right? So the very first thing you need to do is establish a credit card rewards program in an independent third party. So moving it out of the processor world and into an independent party where no matter what changes on the backside, you just build this program that can just plug in to the different data sources. It also can bring in additional data feeds outside of the credit card transactions to begin the scoring and the rules around that data. So credit card is the first one that we always say to start with. It will also start your data structure for householding and start you with the creation of your member site, which will be that core for loyalty moving forward. And this one is a fairly easy transition because I'm assuming pretty much everybody on this phone right now already has a credit card rewards program. So you're not writing new budget line items. You're simply transitioning a budget that already exists to a different source. So that is the crawl stage. Now, when we go to walk, the next thing that we suggest is let's look at debit rewards, because this will reach the largest group of your audience, right? So you're getting that many more people into that loyalty core program where they can start doing ad hoc things. So you'll have the debit rewards that will come on, and then you can actually start introducing either one-time rewards or cumulative points that we call as a pre-scored file. And the reason we suggest this is because outside of the data integration to get the debit rewards, you're actually not doing any other integrations. You on your own site can say, hey, anybody who has a debit or credit card that's in our loyalty program today in the month of July or August, and you close a mortgage with us, we're going to give you an extra 5,000 points into your account. And that is simply a standard file that you can create and send to your third-party loyalty provider that they can do as what's called an ad hoc adjustment and be able to put that into their program with the note of congratulations on your mortgage. And then they'll see those additional points in. So again, crawl, walk, and then running. So once you're hitting that running stage, you're being able to do advanced tiers, advanced products, advanced rule structure. So it could be points in some areas, other areas it could be fee waivers that are coming through. At this point, you're looking at deeper connections, API connections to different data sources where it makes sense to pull in those additional data feeds. You're actually including things now like financial literacy and having rewards for that. Again, tier structures, some of those stickiness things and those operational efficiency items that would be in that run program. And then when I talk about what does full integration look like, and this is why I say it definitely crosses multiple divisions, because when you are running a full engagement loyalty program, every single thing you do with a member or customer, that every touch point is an opportunity to create an incentive to have them be the why. Why should I come in and meet a banker to talk about debt consolidation? Why should you do that? Those are all on a growth path that you want your members to go down, and you can create the path and the incentives along the way for them to do those very things. So when you're full running, full integration, you have multiple products, multiple activities, and it's all stemming off of going way back into the archive, your persona development, your segments, when they're coming in, how you're onboarding them, how you're getting them active into the program, how you're accessing that data and saying, what's the next thing to do for them? What's the path we want to bring them down through that customer journey, all the way through. And then you end up with this great system of engagement where instead of it being these one-off programs that you're doing, it's a circle. You're sending, you're reacting, you're engaging, they're getting points across a multiple behavior. And then you're no longer just this one product to them. You actually have a deep financial relationship with them. All right. Questions. What questions do we have out there from the audience?
Thanks, Sarah. Yeah, we do have a couple questions in the queue right now. If any of our participants want to add, please do so now. We have a few minutes left. The first question that came in is, for rewards, do I need to give points and have a catalog, or can I just put cash into the account?
Oh, great question. All right. So one of the things to know about at least our company and our background is we're deep in behavioral science. And we look at the fundamental reasons why people make decisions and what's going to drive behavior and sustainable behavior. So I get asked this question often when I'm consulting with banks and credit unions. They'll do just true cashback rewards, and they'll actually even do cashback rewards just into an account. And although that is good and that you'll see behaviors driven from that, I always suggest if you're going to do cashback, keep it there, but have it be part of a larger loyalty program. Do not turn off a catalog side of everything so they can still choose and draw that behavior across to things of we call it trophy value. So merchandise, experiences, trips, things of that nature. Because the data shows that one, if you can get somebody to redeem in the first place, they're going to spend between 2 and 3 times more on a card than a non-redeemer. But if you actually look at the types of redemptions that they do, when they redeem for trophy items, those trophy item redeemers spend 2 to 5 times on the card over a cashback redeemer.
Interesting. Yeah.
Don't want to lose that increased top of wallet, the share of top of wallet by losing the merchandise and travel side of everything. That's still absolutely important to driving the ROI on the card.
Interesting. Huh. Okay. The next question is, how do you feel about automatic sweeps of dollars into accounts?
Ooh, do not like them. I bet some of you right now are right now. I'm calling you out. We do not like that. The reality is what happens so often if there's a sweep is that it goes into the account. The member, the customer doesn't even see it, doesn't give any acknowledgement to it, and it ends up just being part of their account that ends up paying an electric bill, right? So you are losing the very reason why you're giving them that value, right? What you want to do is want to create these little deposits into something we call the positive mental account bank. Mm-hmm. So when I have positive interactions, when I'm seeing the value, when I'm touching it, when I'm feeling it, I'm depositing all of these little nuggets into this bank. And that's what actually drives top of wallet spend. That's what drives deeper loyalty and engagement to the financial institution. So if you have a program set up where they're getting certain amounts each month, okay, but let's not have it just be an automatic sweep. We want them to be able to come in and actually be able to redeem it themselves. Mm-hmm. So sending out communication, sending out notices saying, hey, did you know you've already earned $42 sitting in your account? Click on this button, come in and redeem it to the place you want to. You drive them in, they can redeem it. They can put it on as a statement credit. They can put it as cash into a deposit account, or maybe they'll choose to spend it on some type of a trophy item, which is even better, but you're bringing them to that source and you're actively having them participate in that versus it being something that they never see and never know about.
Interesting. Okay. Another question. You spoke a lot on the earn side of rewards. How do you deepen relationships with the redemption side?
Okay, so there's different ways that you can do that. So I think we have to kind of blow up the box of how we've always traditionally thought about redemptions. Again, like I said, there is absolutely a time and a place, and a good thing to have a catalog with travel, merchandise, events, gift cards, all of that. There's a place for that. But with the loyalty of today, that can change. So the way that you can think about it now too is let them use their points that they've earned to actually drive value right back into your financial institution. So what you can do in programs is create custom stores. So allow them to redeem points for things right into there. So for instance, redeem for knocking off a certain percentage of their mortgage loan. So reducing that interest rate. Maybe redeeming points to get a CD that has a higher interest rate. It could be something where they can use their points that they've accumulated to offset insignificant fee charge or insufficient fee charge.
Yeah.
So you can get pretty creative in driving the value of what you're giving for their activities and their loyalty here directly to create more product lines and deepen the engagement on the financial side as well. So I would absolutely, if you're not thinking about that, I would be putting that into your plan as well.
Yeah, beyond just the typical, what we think of as typical redemption. Sure. Another question. If our bank offers a benefits program at no cost, depending on types of account opening, would we need to revise the program with which we are already contracted to avoid overlap with a loyalty program?
The short answer is maybe. I think it's just that comes down to the strategy of, it's not one partner for everything. It's what am I already doing today? What do I need to replace? What do I need to revamp? And where do I need to be moving forward? Most of the technologies today play nicely in the sandbox with other programs. So it's really an evaluation of what do you already have set up? How is that running? Is there a way to take the outcome of that and pull that into what we call the loyalty core? Or is it time where it does fundamentally make sense, to start to strategize and rethink about how that can be? I mean, we all know this world, even if you start this strategy now, when you start thinking about the pieces, you're 2 years from going live with anything else, right? But again, it's like, what's that larger picture that you want to get to in the 3 to 5 years from now? And truly, what are the players and the products that you want to have part of that as you move forward?
Sure. That is all that we have for questions for now. If there are follow-up questions afterwards, Sarah, do you want to share your contact information? You can get in touch directly with Sarah. I learn so much every time we talk about this topic. And so thank you for such a comprehensive conversation today around enterprise loyalty. As you can see, here's Sarah's contact information. Reach out to her if you have questions or want to talk further. Otherwise, we will be sending this recording of today's webinar out via email next week. Please feel free to share that within your organization. And we really appreciate you all being here with us today.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you.